This is a first experience in creating a video with WeVideo.com. You should pause the video at each step and do it in your own video so that at the end of the tutorial you will have a project just like the one you've seen in the video. Two things to do before you start. Make sure that you have a login that brings you to the Marquette High School account, and make sure that you have downloaded or copied the media files that have been made available to you. And once you've done those two things and you go to WeVideo.com, logged in, you can check Get Started, or you can click Dashboard. So if we go to Get Started, and you can check to see that you are in Marquette High's account under Manage Account up here. So member of Marquette High School, that's what you want to make sure that you are doing. All right, and you can put every new video assignment into a new project. So you need not, you can put them all in the same screen, but creating projects and folders would be a good organizational tip. So let's go to this plus sign and let's create a new project. So let's do Intro to WeVideo, and I'll give it a description. And you probably in homework will often be working in a group project, so you would choose to collaborate with some of your classmates. For this first assignment, let's choose to make this personal access, and we choose Next. And our project is created, so now we are ready to create video. And it will take us to the editor screen where you will spend most of your time. So your timeline shows up down here, and we have can do multiple video and image tracks, and we can do multiple audio tracks, and there's only 2 of each visible to start with, but you can, every time you drag above this video 1 track, it will add a new track for you. We can preview our video here, and we can see the tabs of what we're working on up here. So we're going to start in this very first media tab, and we're going to upload the images and video that we want to work with. So these are those files that you either downloaded or copied. So if they're in your own directory, you could browse to select from your computer, or you could select from another location. If they are at your Google Drive, as they are for me, I'm going to select Google Drive and which Google Drive of my Google Drive accounts, and I have them in this folder, which should look familiar to you. This is where you found these media files, and I'm going to select them all and upload them all at once. But you, in future projects, you can keep adding your images and video and audio clips one at a time. And you can let this, you can continue and let this happen in the background if it's taking a while. I can click and drag here, and oh, my files are already uploaded. So, but again, you could come back to your editor while your files are uploading. And I'm ready to get started with my video. So this is not going to be a particularly lovely video. We're going to try to work quickly here. So I'm going to start with this Shakespeare early copy image and put that on my main track. And when it's selected, you'll see the blue line, and you can notice that I can change the length of time. And I think I might change my mind about that later. So now the point of doing a good video is to have things layered one on top of another. So now I'm going to, before I put in any more visual items, let me click on this text tab, and you'll see that there are different choices here, and you can experiment with all of these later. But I'm going to click and drag this text right on top, and you'll see that when it's selected, you have a pencil, an icon to edit the clip, or a trash can if you've changed your mind and you want to delete it, or to edit it, a third choice is to simply double click on that track. And with an image with that text box, there are 2 things we can do. The first tab here is to change the text properties, and the second is to put it in motion and do some animation. And for this first one, let's just change the text. So I'm going to make this our title. So I will say Intro to WeVideo with, and all of our clips had to do with Shakespeare here, so we'll say with Shakespeare. So you can see over in the editor, this is a text box, so I can move it around. It's an object with corners, so I'm actually going to move it over to this side of the screen. And I can change the color of that text. Let's make it yellow. I can change the font. There are a number of different choices available to you here, and we'll just pick this alike for now. All of these icons you're familiar with. The paint bucket fills in the background, but I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go back and leave the background transparent, centering. So you can do all of these items as you wish, and you can see what it looks like in your preview window. And when you're happy with that, click Done Editing. You can come back later and edit some more, so nothing is ever permanent here until you've published your video. And now I'm going to come back, and I am going to go back to my media file, just so that you see that we can have more than two things layered. So I have a video of a student, I don't even know his name. I asked him if he would say welcome to my video. So I'm going to drag him on top here, and if I can get it just in the right spot, there you go. You can see that it opened up another video track for me. So this young man is going to say welcome to my video, and if I double click on that, it opens up editing, and there are lots of choices for editing video. And I notice that mostly he's against this gray wall, and I bet I can use the green screen effect or color key effect to make that wall disappear. So I'm going to do several things here. First, under the Transform tab, I am going to make that video smaller. So I'm going to move him. I think I can get the gray to disappear. So that brown door, I want to get that out of sight. So I'm going to drag him over into the edge here. So I can still see Shakespeare next to him. That might look nice. You could, by the way, rotate. You can fit the screen. So all of these options you can experiment with later. You can adjust the volume here. The animation is if you wanted that to get larger or move across the screen. The color tab if you wanted to change any of the brightness, contrast, and so on. And we're going to go to this color key, or otherwise called chroma key, and probably popularly known as green screen effect. So I don't have a green background here, but I select the eyedropper, and I'm going to select the eyedropper in this gray, and let's see if we can make that wall disappear. And it did pretty well, but I have some more gray down there. So working with this gain and loss slider, I think if I play with that, so there's actually still a little gray there, but I don't think we'll even notice. So you can play with these other features to get a much nicer looking overlay, but our time is short, so I'm going to, let me just preview for you what this is going to be like.
Welcome to my video.
All right, so then I can click Done, and I think what my video is lacking now so far is some audio. So you can go to this audio, and in each of these folders there are a lot of free tracks and sound effects. But in our media file, because this is about Shakespeare, I included an MP3 of Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet. So I'm going to drag that to the audio track, and right away what I notice is where this young man was speaking. And by the way, before I even do that, I could now make these all line up. So I want them to appear about the same length of time. So this could be just a little bit longer perhaps after he's done speaking. But while that young man is speaking, I don't want him to be, I want his voice to be heard. So in the Tchaikovsky, I can drag the playhead is what this green marker is called. I can drag the playhead to where I want to have the Tchaikovsky music get quieter. And I do that. I can change the audio all the way through, but if I only want to change part of it, I use this Actions pull down and I choose Show Levels. And it's as easy as this. Click on that levels line and you get a volume point. And you can put as many of these volume points as you want. And notice that that allows me to drag the volume. So that one I wanted to have over here. I didn't let go. And then I can click again. So let's find, we know it's about here. Let me put in another volume point here to keep this quiet, and then right next to it a volume point to take it back up to its maximum. So how easy is that? You just click level points when you need to make an audio track get quieter. All right, now we're ready to add some more to our video. So let's see how transitions work. So these two colors here should remind you of changing from one thing to another. And most of the transitions, you can only put them on your main track, I believe. And most of the transitions can be kind of gaudy. Oh, and I do that all the time. So I stretched that, and for some reason it thought I wanted it to shorten this. So you often end up, if you're like me, you have to come back and drag things around later because it always seems to take things when I don't expect them. But you'll be able to figure that out probably better than I do, to click and drag to get your items lined up on your timeline. All right, back to our media. Next I'm going to put in this picture of Shakespeare's birthplace, and it's an image, so I can have it be on the screen as long as I want if I can get to its edge. There we go. So I can have that be visible for as long or as short a time as I want. And I'm going to go back to text and tell my viewers what that is. So I'm going to choose this lower third text option so you see more features. And if I choose the pencil tool to edit it, animation is if I want it to move around the screen, and I do not. So I'm just going to go to the text tab and change this. Shakespeare's birthplace. And again, I can change the font. I can change the size of the font. These are objects, so I can come over here and click this blue color box and make it fit better. I can preview it, but there's no motion here, so I'm just going to click Done Editing to get back to my timeline. I can always come back later if I change my mind about that. And again, to see some more layering, I'm going to go back to Media. And this might look particularly silly, but I want to show you what we could do here with an animation of an image. Later we'll animate some text also. So if I double click right now, this is definitely not attractive having it cover up the picture behind. So I'm going to go to the Transform tab, and I'm going to change the scale. And this, I think, is a perfect choice for another color key. So you'll see that again. So transform, animation, I'm going to do in a minute. First, I'm going to see if the color keying works well. I suspect if I select this black, and that did work pretty well. We maybe lost a little bit here, so you could actually reduce and we can get back some of his hair around his ear. Play with that as much as you want. And now I'm also going to add animation. So animation is where do you want this to start and where do you want it to finish. So it's as easy as, it'll always be green here for where do you want this image to start, and I have him placed right where I would like it to start. And then I'm going to click to where do I want him to end, and I'm going to have him move across the screen and watch this. I'm going to have him get larger. So Shakespeare is going to move across the screen, and then he's going to be looking at his birthplace. So now I can preview what this is going to look like. Click on Start, and you can see what an animation does. Might be a little cheesy for this effect, but you've got the idea of several things that you can do now. You've got layering, you've got color key, you've got animation, and now I think I could put in another transition. I think would be nice, but you can go put in your transitions on your own if you want. Well, let's drag this in and see. The only thing is it's going to change the length of what I had. Whatever, I don't know. So I'm going to drag that back. All right, so now I have this other type of dissolve. And then I'm going to go to media, and I'm going to put in a movie clip. So we haven't seen video in our video yet. So now we have a problem because this is a movie clip that has its own music. So I don't want to hear Tchaikovsky and the movie score at the same time. So I'm going to select the Tchaikovsky audio track, and I'm going to drag the playhead. Actually, this is in the dissolve, so at the start of the dissolve, maybe more in the middle of the dissolve, I'm going to clip it. So this scissors is to split the clip. So you can split a movie clip, you can split an audio clip. So just hit the scissors where you want to cut it into two pieces, and now it trimmed it into two pieces. And I could move the other part of Tchaikovsky and say, well, we'll hear that later in the timeline. For this assignment, I actually don't want to use it at all, so I can just hit the trash can or the delete button to get rid of it, because this movie has its own music playing. All right, what else do I want to do? I want to go into our media, and no, I want to put some end credits. So this end choice here, put some end credits somewhere along the way, and you can see that it already has some text set up. If I double click or choose the pencil to fix that, so I can say this is directed by me. I am Carol Hardkey. We can move down here, and I don't have produced by, but I might say this is produced for Mr. Kelly's English 1. I don't have actors here, so I'm going to delete. Let me just hold down the delete key here. I might put some other information of your choice, whatever that would be. I'll say this was made in February of 2016, and I might say thank you to MUHS. All right, and again, you can change the size of your font, but now I want to be careful to be able to see this in my text. So if I want to make it larger, then make sure that you drag your text window a little bit, so we can maybe get this a little bigger, but we don't have to. I want to definitely see that whole thing. All right, now I would like this to scroll vertically on the screen as you see credits scroll in any movie. So I go back to the animation tab, and where do I want this to start? I want it to be, and now I want to try to make sure I keep this lined up in the center. I want it to come up from there, nowhere at the start. It's off the bottom of the screen. Where do I want it to end up? Off the top of the screen. And I can preview. Oops. So you get that scrolling credit effect, and we can click done to go back to our timeline. Back to our media tab. It's important for me to remind you that you have to have sources. Most of your student projects don't steal images and video clips. So here I've already created my list of sources, and I saved it. I saved a picture of my sources page. And the problem here, if I look at it, if I double click, the video is showing along the edges. So this, I don't really want to animate my sources, but I do want to scale so that this covers up the whole screen. So I can either choose this fit screen button, or I can use this scale button. And I'm just going to choose, oh, fit screen I don't want. I am going to use this drag button here, so it's still all visible, but the black covers up the entire video. So the reason I don't want to trim that video is because I'd still like to hear that beautiful music. All right. So it's going to play the movie, scroll the credits, show my sources, and that whole time I'll be seeing or hearing the music behind the sources. All right, one more important thing that students should see, and that would be to add narration. So your voice is very important. Of course, you're going to put textual information in your video, but I think your teacher's going to want to hear what you've learned. So I'm going to drag the playhead back here, so where we see Shakespeare's birthplace, and I'm going to show you how I can add narration. You could, of course, record an MP3 and upload it separately from WeVideo, but right directly from WeVideo, I'm going to go to Audio Track 2, and I'm going to click on the microphone, and I want to preview the video while I'm speaking so I can tell what I'm talking about. And I want to definitely leave this clicked so that while I'm recording, you're not hearing that music. And I click the microphone, and it's going to ask for permission to record from your computer. And I am not using the webcam. You could use the webcam here to capture a video of yourself. I only want the microphone here, and I happen to have a USB microphone. You can also use your internal microphone. And I'm going to click close, and then it'll say allow. And now there's a countdown. So now I'm recording my voice, and I would tell you everything I know about Shakespeare's birthplace and all the scholarly knowledge I have about Shakespeare, which is very, very little, and I would click done. And then to save, I go over here to the check mark, and it'll take a minute to save that recording, and it's going to appear in Audio Track 2. We hope. And our audio clip appears, and I can trim it. I spoke a little longer than I wanted to, so you could listen to it, and if you needed to trim that, you could certainly do that. So you could do all of your narration at once and then cut it into pieces, trim it into pieces, and move it around. So if I want to listen to my entire video again, I drag the playhead back to the beginning and I hit play. And you can do that yourself to see how this all worked. And when I am all finished, there is a save over here, but it should be saving automatically as you go through. One thing that I didn't do, so it says it has already been saved. The one thing I didn't do was title my video, so I might want to do that. WeVideo with Shakespeare, to have a title. And I don't want to publish my video until I'm sure I'm happy with my editing. So, oh, there was one other thing we forgot we were going to do, and that's to trim off the end of our video. Remember, my video went longer than my sources, so when I see over here, if I drag the playhead through, I can see, and by the way, your final video will be much smoother. So when I get over here to the end of my sources, that is where I want to select my video and trim it, cut it into pieces. So I do not want any more of the video. And again, please do not hit the finish button and publish this video. It serves no purpose other than learning how to edit, but that's what you would do to finish your final project. So let's just play here one more time in the editor, and good luck on your next project.
Welcome to my video.
And now I'm starting my narration, I'm telling you about Shakespeare's birthplace and everything I know about Shakespeare, which is very little. And then I click to end.
A time for us, someday there'll be, when chains are torn by courage born.